Hey guys, welcome to the Is It Legit podcast. Before we start, we really just ask you guys if you guys like our content, please hit the like and subscribe button so you can get more of our content, and it'll really just help our algorithm. So thank you so much in advance, and let's get started with the show.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the pod. Today we'll be covering a pretty important topic: mental health and the age of social media. We're going to talk about the evolution of social media and how it's changing the way we see ourselves and mental health. What are the biggest positives and negatives that us and other people have experienced? And finally, we're going to talk about how to create different strategies to manage the negative effects of social media and also the positive, how to accentuate the positives of social media. So, Peter, let's just get right into it. What has been the evolution of social media, and how has it changed the way we see ourselves and our mental health?
Yeah, we grew up in a very unique time where the digital age came about and computers were not really a thing. Uh, when we were really, really young, right? We had those Mac computers with the iMacs with the one click button, that had Oregon Trail, right? And that was
Floppy disks, yeah.
the floppy disks, and that was pretty much it. And then there was the advent of the internet that changed the whole game. And of course, social media was one of the biggest game changers in the World Wide Web that really changed how we see our world. And so it's very unique in that sense that we saw, what is life without social media, where a lot of kids, they grew up in social media. They grew up with Facebook, and then MySpace, Facebook, and then now the biggest platforms, TikTok and whatnot. So it's very interesting. And I think we see the positive effects of social media but a lot of negative effects that follow up with it, right? I think one of the statistics that we read was the mental health crisis with social media, how just the feature of the like button has skyrocketed self-harm and suicide among teen girls up to 189%. So it's a real thing. And with that, there's like cyberbullying. There's unrealistic expectations. These girls are seeing these, girls on social media with, all this stuff. But it's all production at the end of the day, and so it's a lot of depression and anxiety going on, and we're seeing a lot of negative effects. What about you? Like, how has social media affected you in many ways? Like, what do you see as what social media has become in your life and how it has affected you?
I've definitely seen the positive and negative effects of social media. As a parent, I think a lot about how my kids are going to interface with this new world that's constantly changing with AI and algorithms that affect how we essentially, which we're going to cover later, how we become the product of these mega corporations and how a lot of consumer economy is driven through these social media, like the TikTok shops, right? I feel like I'm so behind because I just found out that there's a shop, because I'm not on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
Because I tried to just disconnect myself because I do get affected, right? Because the algorithms are so powerful. I do think that there are many habits, good and bad, and I think the bad ones are the ones that you just fall into, but the positive or the good ones are the ones that you can make. I'd like to jump into that because the statistic that you shared is such a shocking statistic that I really think that parents, again, because I'm a parent, and people around us really should pay attention. So what are the biggest positives and negatives from social media? How do you think about this?
Yeah, there are some positives to social media. I'll be honest, I'm a consumer. I am on TikTok.
You are on TikTok.
And I think one of the biggest positives, I mean, the obvious ones are that, you have these like online communities, support groups. And I think for me with media, one of my biggest takeaways, what really helps me is it actually gives me a lot of ideas. That, I used to read a lot of personal development books, huge on personal development books. And I still do read them. Yet what is more engaging now is that even though a lot of these books have, they're like this thick and you got to read a lot, you actually get the summarized version based off just interviews online, like podcasts, and you get the best of it. And I do sharpen myself by watching these podcasts and watching people who have gone before me, like these very successful people. How often do we have access to some of these very successful people in our lives? Before, you would never have that kind of opportunity, right? You'd be able to hear them speak every once in a while in these big auditoriums and pay $1,000 to get in, right? That's changed now, and I believe it has really helped me. I also, have changed my health a lot just by listening to a lot of these alternative, medical doctors or researchers like Huberman, Peter Attia, et cetera, et cetera. So there are some positives. You can't, both you and I can't deny that. I think where the negatives come in, I mean, my goodness, the cyberbullying, the trolling, there's, we are distracted from actually having real community. And that's one of the biggest problems. I think what I've realized, and I was just telling Rebecca this yesterday, is I just don't have as much incentive to hang out with people anymore. Have you ever felt that? Like you're just not, we are such social creatures, but because there's so much entertainment at home where it's like I could be on Facebook and know what my friends are already doing, right? I can watch podcasts, which makes me feel like there are people around me. I can watch Netflix, that really has the entertainment factor. I don't even need to go to the movies and spend, what is it, like $15 for a movie or whatnot.
Yeah, popcorn and drinks. You're in for $50. So
I mean, who does that anymore, right? So, so there's that. That's
yeah.
one of my issues.
One of the things that I think about is this quote of like the 6 degrees of separation, right? It's like, it's the idea that for much of history, you had to kind of go, like if you knew, if I was alive during when Abraham Lincoln was president, I would maybe know somebody who would then know somebody who would then be a friend or a family or a Congress member. And then through those degrees of separation, I can get to this person. But right now, I would say it's like 1 degree, like President Trump. Much of the reason why he got elected was he used social media to his advantage, like it or not, right?
Right.
Where you could actually listen to him on Joe Rogan talk for 3 hours. I've never been able to do that for any president. So I think that because everything is also a two-way street, you then have less degrees of separation also for the people that you may not want to be in contact with. Child predators on the extreme or criminals.
Sure.
Or it could just be people who don't have to deal with the discomfort of having a human being right next to you. So that when I interact with you and say, hey, you're ugly, I wouldn't say that as easily if I was in person with you. Right? Because there's reciprocity, there's all these human things. So I do think that can be a great thing on the one end to have the support groups, the online communities. Like I benefit hugely from, I race cars, right? So us being able to mastermind about a problem virtually, it saved me tens of thousands of dollars of having to learn it on my own and to find talent or to find drivers who can drive with us.
Yeah.
But there is the other side as well.
It's really interesting. I've noticed myself wanting to be less social, and I think there's a situation right now where I have some friends who have some issues with each other, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's so easy to cut off that relationship. It's so easy to just you make me uncomfortable, let's separate, and we don't ever have to see each other again. Because honestly, I don't meet as many people anymore I'm not as social anymore. And when I do, the world is large enough where I can avoid you. I think in a smaller town, which, one would we know that right now mental health is a huge issue. We have higher anxiety, higher depression, higher loneliness, et cetera, et cetera. But then in a smaller town, it's like everyone knows each other. Like you are known. Even if you have an issue with someone, you got to work it out because,
Right.
well, you're going to see them at the grocery store tomorrow, right? And so it's funny how you mentioned that because I am realizing even for myself, who I was just telling Rebecca yesterday while we were on a walk that I am becoming less social. I actually becoming more of an introvert where I used to meet people. I used to have people over my house like seriously every other day. It almost seemed like, or I would go out and hang out with people. Like it just used to be a thing. It's becoming less and less. I have a family now, and I'm just less incentivized to meet or try to socialize or make new friends. And I feel like social media is one of the variables, one of the causes of that.
You know what's funny is that, I mean, most people that know you would know that you are a very social person to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know how you classify yourself as an extrovert or introvert or in the middle, but it is funny that our brains are being rewired to get that social satisfaction
Yeah.
through online interaction, right? I mean, yeah, when I love to throw parties because I didn't want to interact with people on a one-on-one basis. So when I used to live by myself with my roommates, we would have people literally every day. Like I couldn't do my homework. People are always partying or doing something. But that made me feel that I was in a community of like-minded people.
Right.
And you get that same thing now, or similar things, or feelings, or whatever chemical things are happening in your brain online.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when kids are exposed to social media, I think that's really, it's going to set them up for failure in later stages of life. And one quote that I heard, actually more than from one person, I've heard this quote, and it's from like 14 to 16-year-old teens that get interviewed and say, hey, do you think that it was good that your parents didn't give you a phone until you were like 14, 15, 16? And they actually say yes.
Wow.
They say, yeah, I had a flip phone and I thought I was missing out on all this stuff.
Yeah.
So even in this generation, kids are realizing that, hey, this is not the most healthy thing, right?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that?
I think we understand social media is destroying us in many ways, and especially when it's unhealthily used. Like we're on social media, like we're not saying. I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it. The thing is, it's only going to get more integrated into our lives.
Right.
So let's just be honest here. We're not saying that okay, we have to cut social media because we can't live in a bubble. We can't live under a rock, and that's the reality.
Have you seen what is it? Is it the? It's
Influencer?
either the Meta something, the AR glasses,
Yeah.
where I saw a demo. I think it's the Apple, the latest headset they came out with, the ridiculous.
Vision or-
Yeah. The one that looks like a goggle.
Yeah.
They were having like a meeting, but they were able to spatially see and hear people as if they like FaceTime on steroids.
Yes.
And I thought that was so crazy. Because like you, me, our partner from Texas or Georgia, because we have out-of-state properties, we could literally have a face-to-face meeting. And I could turn this way, and the audio would come here, and then I could turn this way. And I feel like that's what our kids are growing up with. So I think we need to talk about maybe some strategies on how to deal with this kind of thing. Have you seen those demos, and what are your thoughts about that? Where do you think this is all going to?
So I got really big into VR. I wanted to invest into VR. And so I got the Valve Index. I got a supercomputer to be able to support the Valve Index. And it really opened, I opened up this game. It's like Poker Stars or something, VR. And I remember I was sitting there in this virtual world and I had people next to me, and I was taught like I could hear them. The guy to my right, I can hear them in my right ear, and we're seriously having like a decent conversation. I forget what we were talking about, but we were having like a conversation about something life, like, oh yeah, did you hear about this? And we were just talking while playing poker with each other, while we had like virtual swords that we were like stabbing each other and whatnot, just because it's a virtual world. And the reality is human beings are evolving. We are evolving as a species, and we're going into integration with technology and AI. And the fact of the matter is that these worlds, whether it's augmented reality, which is what the Apple Vision Pro is, and VR, it's going to be way more stimulating and way more attractive than the real world. And so I don't think we're going to stop it. Same thing with AI. I think we understand all of the dangers that can come with AI. There could be, AI can turn on us. They could take away all of our jobs, but we're not going to be able to stop it. We really won't. And so how do we then work with artificial intelligence and VR and AR and these social media platforms to live a more healthier life, as long as we can help it? I mean, there may be a certain point where we're going to need a serious revolution, but otherwise it is just where we are. Before we go into some of the things that we can do, I just want to talk about some of the serious dark sides that I found very interesting about social media. One of them is you are the product and not the consumer. And I think a lot of people think that they are consumers, but really social media, they're targeting you in a very engineered way. And I don't think people understand how engineered we are. Like, social media is made to be extremely addicting for you to click, scroll. Then you get this pop-up about an ad that's like, oh, it seems like a real ad. And then you click it. Every click, every movement, everything is artificial, AI plus, like, you have, hundreds of thousands of engineers perfectly curating your experience to make you click on that buy button so you could spend money. And I think one aspect about social media that is extremely destructive that people don't realize is that social media is making us go broke. I'm a consumer. I've spent stuff. So I'm not one who, I have like 3 things coming to me right now from TikTok, I'll be honest, right? So I'm not one who is saying that I'm not guilty of this, but what is happening is there's a lot of people who don't have the money, where social media makes you feel like you have to buy these products, like you have to buy them. Let's talk about supplements, right? It's like, sure, supplements are great. I'm a huge consumer of supplements, but it's like the way they manipulate the advertisements. Like, there's a reason why you have brain fog, you have this and that. The reason why you have brain fog is because you're not eating well. But they make it like, oh, you're sick and you got to have this product so you can, be normal again. Or if you don't do this, you're going to die. They get you to click on these advertisements to hit that buy button. And then you're wondering why your credit card bill is like, ridiculous, out of hand, and you have no money. And so the devastating effects is the financial effects of social media to people's bank accounts. And of course, we know the statistics around people's bank accounts. 70% of people don't even have $1,000. There's another statistic about retirement. Like, the majority of Americans don't even have any money in their retirement savings. That means what's going to happen in 30, 40 years, right? It's like your kids are going to have to take care of you, and hopefully you have kids to do that, right?
Yeah, it's a big problem.
So that is one thing that I wanted to mention.
I want to add
huge issue.
I want to add to that because, I've looked into the history of marketing, right? And the whole idea. So we talk about algorithms now, which are basically computer code that recognizes our behavior and tries to manipulate it. Like you mentioned, it's how long do you scroll?
Yeah.
How long do you hover on one picture or link?
Yeah.
Like how many click-through rates, or there's all this stuff out there that you can just Google. But the right kind of marketing and algorithm will literally create markets for people to consume off of. Like you said, like do you mind sharing what you bought on TikTok Shop?
Yeah, I just bought a cement thing, like a cement thing to cover my cracks. I bought a weed eater, but not a normal weed eater, but there's like a spinning like disc thing that
You
cuts
need
the
that.
weeds.
You need that. Yeah.
Well, it's because my grass guy did a bad job,
Yeah.
and so I need to like cut it myself, and it's like it's $40, and they're like, oh, there's a huge discount. I also bought the I bought the boom boom. You've seen those advertisements of the boom boom thing?
What?
It's like you like sniff it, and then like it like clears your
Oh,
nostrils.
yeah.
That thing is
I just
everywhere.
saw that right there.
Oh, is that? I was looking
I
for
saw
it.
it up on the shelf. Yeah, I mean, so those are all through watching TikToks about them?
All TikTok.
Okay. So is it that you watch a clip and then there's a link to it? Right? Because I'm not on TikTok.
So easy. And that's Amazon's best strategy is how to reduce all of the amount of effort to get you to click that buy button without it being illegal. I mean, they will manipulate it. So it's very easy. You watch this video. It seems like a very real video. You click the ad, right? But it's like very, natural looking. So you just click the ad. It pops up a link. It shows you where it's like, okay, check out now. Boom.
Oh, wow.
Check out Apple Pay. Apple Pay,
On your phone.
screw you, Apple Pay, because I love you, but also
So easy.
makes you spend money so much easier. Because before you have to put in your credit card and you're like, this is kind of sus. I don't know if they're going to take my credit card information. But now all you have to do is it's already pre-checked the Apple Pay box.
It's so easy.
And all you have to do is click on your phone. Money's out of your account. They just made a commission off your account. And then the people who produce it made money off of you. Bam. Right there.
There's no discomfort. Like,
Zero.
Sometimes when you're making a purchase and when you have to like put your credit card in, your number in, it takes you time to find your wallet. So you're walking around your house and you're thinking the whole time, am I doing this? I'm actually doing this.
Yeah.
You get it out of your wallet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're still thinking and checking your exit. There's so much time and friction that they're eliminating from all this checkout process.
Yeah.
The story I was going to share was the fact that I think people might be shocked to hear this, that brushing your teeth and diamonds were not in fashion until they made marketing around it. So there's a statistic from some company that said all wedding there's only like prior to 1940, only 10% of brides would wear diamond rings.
Wow.
It was not a thing until like 100 years ago. They started campaigning. They started getting eyeballs to think that a diamond is forever. You've heard that many times.
Yeah.
Right? Every kiss begins with K. Like it's not about the diamond. It's about what it represents. Right? So now, guys, I'm sorry, guys, we have to spend, what's the rule? 2 to 4 months of our monthly income. Isn't that the rule?
Who made that rule?
Some marketer probably.
Seriously.
So now,
Are you out of your mind?
and so you can't even get married unless you have. That's a lot of money, right? And then even for like brushing your teeth, they had to create marketing campaigns prior to, I want to say 1930 or 40, to make it more popular, to sell toothpaste.
Yeah.
And that is the lowest level. And now we are here where every click, every advertisement, I mean, you click on something on your phone, we're looking for a popcorn machine, right? That we can rent out to our clients. Well, then if you go on your Amazon, on your computer, it follows you. I mean, the algorithm is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So you are the product, not the customer. I think that's a really, really good point. Another one is manipulation and spread of misinformation. I think we touched on this in the very beginning, But what's your take on this topic?
One of the, gosh, I say finances are one of the most devastating, but one of the craziest parts about social media is that it can change your worldview. It could change your perspective on life. It can manipulate how you think. I mean, I have friends who are just so stuck on certain narratives, but it's because the algorithm feeds the same narrative over and over in 20 different ways to make this narrative so rock solid that you wouldn't be able to change this person's mind. The danger in that is that when friends, who is to say that there's not someone behind, those media platforms that is feeding all of these narratives to us to make us believe that we are, we truly do believe and we're smart and we understand this topic in its entirety, right? And so that's where it gets a little crazy, because the conspiracy around this is that there's a lot of people who are feeding narratives like purposefully to us to make us think a certain way. And I think that's a very dangerous place. I think where, we talked about this before, but where we have to be open is like we got to understand everybody's narratives, because someone who is, I'm just going to talk about politics because it's like the easiest one, someone who's on the left and someone who's on the right, I think both of them should listen to each other and listen, because the right is being fed a certain narrative in 100 different ways. The left is being fed certain narratives on 100 different facets, right? And so for these two, they're so like stubborn about their narratives that they're not willing to listen to each other. I think that's a huge problem. I think we got to listen to both narratives and be open to another narrative, right? We need to stop talking about what we just know and start listening about, okay, maybe there's a different perspective. Maybe there's a farmer in Arkansas that doesn't have any of these social media platforms that can give you a certain narrative about a worldview that may be so much more profound than what we know with all of our city-like knowledge, if that makes any sense, right? And so I think that's a huge, a scary part of this world. Like we're being fed what we believe, and that's crazy.
Yeah, I keep coming back to, as I listen to you talk, I keep coming back to the idea of discomfort and how we lack discomfort, because we live in this echo chamber. You go into YouTube and you kind of see all the things that you like to see, and then the algorithm reminds you what you saw like a few days ago. So I'm in this endless loop of like basketball, racing. My wife is about, cute videos and this and that. And that's literally your world. And you're kind of always fed this nice curated version of your own reality.
Yeah.
A recent podcast that I really, if anybody has like a political leaning, I know you've known about this for a while. I just discovered the All In podcast. It's these very mega rich people, like billionaires, talking about the world affairs, and they're literally arguing in a very respectful, friendly way.
Yeah.
It's like you and me arguing about the tariffs. And as one person speaks, because they're so good and eloquent, I mean, they didn't get there just by being a nobody, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I think this is true. I think that tariffs are good or bad. And then the other person will immediately have like another counter reaction. And I'm like, no, I think that's true too. So now I'm left with this feeling of discomfort, kind of dissonance. And now I have to figure out which is more, relative or believable to me. But I think we usually just get the one side, to your point. And that just keeps you going down this path of yes, blue is good, red is bad, or, whatever it is. So,
and I think I really do think that that's dangerous. I mean, if these mega successful people are willing to listen to each other, and they really do, when someone's,
they do.
I mean, not all the time, to be honest, because I watch them often, and sometimes they like kind of speak over each other. But for the most part, they really do listen to each other because that's wisdom. Be slow to speak, right? You got to listen to people. So,
Yeah, they learn from each other. They change their minds on the spot.
yeah.
But yeah, to head into the next topic, maybe we can end this on privacy is an illusion. When you think that you are, like what does privacy in the digital age mean to you?
Yeah, I'll be honest, at first I'm like, if someone takes my if someone's like watching what I'm doing, it's like, is that really the end of the world? I honestly am one of those guys, right? I think where this becomes a huge problem is that, I think the reason why these social media platforms are mega rich, why they're getting incredible offers, like TikTok got an incredible offer to be able to be bought out. That's still pending, by the way. And social media, like Facebook is, what is Meta stock now, right? It's like, it's valued at a ridiculous amount. It's because of the information that they have on people. We have these profiles. What's happening behind the scenes is that these companies are buying information. You, John DJ, whatever, Kim, you have a profile, and if a company can get their hands on your profile, and they have a lot of information on you, right? Mm-hmm. If they can get the hands on your profile, they can sell you things catered to your personality, to what you like, and what you are likely to buy, right? And that's how they're profiting off of you. That's where this becomes a problem, because they just have so much knowledge on you, and it's only going to get, like, these digital profiles you see in the social dilemma. Like, we have these digital profiles that is going to be used against you, that will make you spend money, that will change your narrative on the way you look at things, and et cetera, et cetera. So there are dangers to it that we don't fully recognize or fully realize how much this is actually affecting our lives personally.
I'd love to share one story that came up. I was reading this book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. He's like the psychologist guy that studies how people get persuaded without even them knowing. Yeah. And a story was this dad storms into a local Target, calls the manager on duty and says, "I need to speak to you right now." They're wondering what's going on. Why is he so upset? And apparently his daughter, who was very young, I think she was in her teens or very early 20s, just very young, woman, was getting sent magazines from Target about pregnancy things.
Oh.
Okay, I think you know where this is going. And he's like, how ridiculous is it that you're marketing to my young daughter? And they're like, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I just work here. And then a few weeks later, he comes back into the store. This is in the book, right? He comes back into the store and says, "I am so sorry. I apologize because I realized my daughter is pregnant." So the activity that she somehow, maybe it was a credit card purchase or
like a pregnancy test, or
whatever.
Something. Yeah.
The millions of things that our wives would have bought or thought about when when they were pregnant with our children ended up flowing into the algorithm, then selling that data to Target and all these companies, and then directly going before the need. It's already there, then that's how powerful things are. And I think we have to be respectful to that. Then we can talk about, so what do? We talked about, the landscape of things, the history, the pitfalls and dangers of social media use, also some of the positives. What are some habits or strategy that you use to keep your social media use healthy and on the level?
Yeah, I think, okay, so as long as we are on the topic of finances and how social media is devastating our finances, I will 100% recommend people to budget. They have to budget their money. They have to understand that they have a certain amount of spending money on certain things for their own personal self or their enjoyment, and they have to stick to those budgets. And so learn that discipline because, until I did that, I was spending money like crazy too. Oh, it's only a $15 product. Oh, $30 with shipping. But then that stuff accrues. And then all of a sudden you open up your Chase credit card bill and you're like, WTF, who stole my money? Chase made a mistake, right? But of course they didn't. And you just bought a bunch of products that accumulated to now several $1,000s.
Yeah, we think we're like that guy from 300, Chase, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I did not spend all
You're wrong, Leonidas.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Leonidas.
Every month.
So that's number one. You have to protect your money. Like sharks are out there every single day. Everywhere you look, they're out there trying to take your money. They really are. And so protect it. Like you got to be the Leonidas to your bank account because they will put their hands on it. I think another thing is setting time limits. I think taking breaks, focusing on positive content. So, let's talk about time limits. So one thing that I used for a very long time is screen time, right? And so like if you go over a certain time, you're going to get a notification. Hey, you're 30 minutes in. Please stop. That's an easy thing. Go to your phone right now, go to your settings, go to screen time, go change that right now. At least get that notification. There's also an ability for you to cut it off. Like you can't open up the app again unless you manipulate it, which you shouldn't be able to because what I do is I give the password either to my wife or to somebody else. And then the other thing that I'm actually really careful of is getting any negative content on my feed. So let me give you an example. Just really anybody negative. I just don't like, I unfollow those accounts. You might, like Logan Paul. Personally for me, it's like, I don't see that guy as a really positive influence. I don't want to become like Logan Paul. Like, okay, you have this, this deal, this brand deal, and you're making these drinks now, but like, I don't want to become more like you. I want to start following the people I want to be like, family man, someone who cares about the community, someone who is successful, who has done things, but also has a good head on their shoulders, not Logan Paul or KSI or some of these people, right? So I would personally just unfollow some of these people. I think the other thing, and I'm very careful about this, is because as I am going through my social media, let me tell you right now, one of the biggest appeals on the social media content is sexual content. And so as soon as the sexual content comes on my feed, I immediately swipe up. Because if I don't swipe that up quickly, the social media is going to show me more of that content. And of course, like there's probably porn companies behind these these people who are trying to make you just get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and then all of a sudden you're watching full on porn, and then from there they're manipulating you to obviously spend money, right? They do the free content to go to OnlyFans to spend money, and there's this whole cycle to it, and it's harping on your addictive behavior, and so. We all know that porn, there's people trying to fight porn right now, but I think that's one thing that you have to be really careful of. It doesn't matter. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, doesn't really matter. They're going to try to push that content to you, and you really have to train the algorithm to not allow that content to come. Like what I use, there's like a restricted use for TikTok. I just use that. That helps, but it's not perfect. Things still do pop up, and you really, really have to like white knuckle and just swipe up so it doesn't train that.
Another one is just piggybacking off of that. If you see something that is a positive influence to you, or that you can learn from, or anything that's good, you should think about liking it and commenting on it, because then that also trains the algorithm to produce more of that content.
So just pause real quick. So guys, please like and comment on our content if you like this content. Okay, continue.
Great segue. Should we pause for 30
Oh,
seconds?
We're gonna pause for 3 minutes.
So yeah, we'll wait until everybody comments 10 comments.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, if it's a learning thing, you know, I'm really into psychology. Like we talk about this all the time. Instead of just watching it, you know, train the algorithm, ask a question, or, you know, say something positive, or maybe share an experience, or like, or what, you know, subscribe if you're really into that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely train the algorithm to do your bidding, as long as you recognize how dangerous it could be if you don't do anything, because it will just train you.
So let's talk about the recognizing part. So
Yeah.
we all know social media is really hurting our mental health right now. All of us. I would say all of us. It's hurting our mental health. So how does someone recognize when social media is starting to harm their mental health?
Well,
What are some of the points that people can just immediately right now audit their mental health?
I think what I've noticed, just to be personal, is when I'm tired, when I'm stressed out, and I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to do to de-stress myself. As I get older, I recognize the necessity for movement, some sort of movement. We're not telling people to do backflips, just walk, move, do something. If I'm not on my best behavior for diets or whatever it might be, I find myself more susceptible to these behaviors.
Yeah.
Whether it's eating a candy or scrolling or doing cocaine, it's all the same in your brain, right? Mm-hmm. When I recognize that when I stop scrolling, I have this very increased anxiety because it's kind of uneasy feeling. And then I notice myself, it's like a pacifier for adults, right? Or for anybody. Keep scrolling, and I'm not really even paying attention to what it is, and I'm just addicted to the scroll. That's when I realize, okay, it's time to shut off and go do something. Mm. I am stressed out. I recognize the buildup of that in my system, and I am not doing something positive to make that better. I think a really big thing is tying social media use to your sleep patterns. So I've been guilty of it. I mean, we all have probably. Falling asleep to screen time,
Yeah.
to kind of like turn off your brain, but not really. And then also waking up to social media.
Yeah.
Unless you have something positive, affirmations or some sort of thing that, and let's face it, that's not going to turn out well because it'll lead you into something else. Because when you are awake, you're in that alpha brainwave state where you're super susceptible, right? And if you let your algorithm control the beginning of the day, I mean, it's already a downward spiral from there. And what about you? What kind of signs do you see?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the great thing is when I have people around me, like I live with people, and so they call me out. My wife calls me out when I am on my phone too much. And it really, I've had my moments. I mean, I'm not talking as a teacher here. I'm talking as a student where I have had many instances where because the thing is like my brain is like, I need to be stimulated. Like I've been like that since I was a kid. Like that's why I love video games. And I don't just play like normal video games. I play, Warcraft, which most people won't even know what that is, but it's like Warcraft or StarCraft or things that require like tons of thinking, tons of, like stimulation. And so now that I'm older, like I always have to be on my phone. Even when I was living alone, I would have a movie on. I'm not even kidding. I would have a movie on. I have so like on the TV screen, I had my monitor here that like I'm doing something else on, like working on, and I would have my phone watching like social media.
Oh, I've been there.
That's how stimulating.
No, I've been there. Yeah.
So you recognize, like now I have someone to call me out and recognize, oh, I am on my phone way too much. So do I have mental health issues? No, I don't. But I've had situations where I would actually have, I don't know if you ever had this, but like mental fatigue. It's the craziest thing, and it's actually wildly uncomfortable. Sometimes I'd be not it's not doom scrolling, because doom scrolling is when you're like depressed and you're just like feeding negative information. I think there's like a part of doom scrolling that I don't necessarily vibe with, but for me, I'm just like scrolling, and the thing about these shorts is that they're so stimulating now. Because remember, it used to be videos like podcasts or like, these stories, but now it's like these shorts. They have so many cuts. I do video editing, so I understand. Like, they do so many cuts and put a hour long movie into like 1 minute, and it's just so stimulating that by the end of all of these videos that you're watching, you're like mentally exhausted, fatigued.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever done this where you close your eyes and like my brain is so fatigued, I can't even think. And it's actually really uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even like imagine something right now because like my brain's not functioning.
That's a tough one. I think that's honestly one of the worst things, is that it doesn't allow you to listen to your own inner voice, right? Not to get all spiritual or whatever, but it is. And I'm not even talking about religiously, just like, what do you want? Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you want today? What do you not like? What do you like? What are you going to eat? Who are you going to talk to? And I realized that when I have woken up because I'm so tired sometimes, I can blame it on so many things, but I wake up tired and I'm like, I need to get up. And my coffee is downstairs, my phone is right here. So look something up. And then my day is filled with somebody else's ideas and somebody else's how to live their life. And these 60-second shorts, they're not going to give me what I need to look into myself and figure out, okay, my goals for today are this, tomorrow, this week, next month. And I do understand what you're saying about mental fatigue, because it's literally depleting your dopamine system and you need more.
And then I think the problem is like, as you're going out through your day, especially if you're doing social media in the morning, is that you're not yourself. You can't give yourself fully to your day, to your work, to your studies, to your interactions with your friends, to your spouses, to your, like you name it, right? It's like you're not fully giving yourself. It's the same thing with pornography. It's like you're watching porn, and it's so stimulating that like it actually like dulls the rest of the world, because it's like you're so like, it's just so stimulating on this thing. And so and there's like studies and sciences around that, but I think that's what social media does to us. And I remember I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Henry Thoreau or it was one of the philosophers. They said that the greatest teacher in the world is being in silence.
Yes.
It's that inner voice, which I'll be honest, like at my most successful times is I actually used to spend so much time alone. I used to pray. I'm talking like for like 3-4 hours. I remember like there was instances where I was invited to a party, and it was like my roommate and best friend was throwing the party. It's probably going to be like 200 people over there, right? Tons of people that I know, tons of fun, very stimulating. I suited up. I did my hair, took an hour. Like I was like all ready to go. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to go out to this party. I'm going to stay in I literally stayed in my closet for 4 hours just by myself, just praying. I fell asleep, I'll be honest, for like 30 minutes, but I like got back up and I just prayed, and I was just by myself. And it's in those moments that I had the most clarity in my life. It's those moments where I just felt more peace and more joy, more, just feeling sustained emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because I spent those times alone. And listen, even Jesus spent time alone a lot. If you read the Bible, he spent a lot of alone time. And actually, one of the most successful people, I don't know what it is about the beta state. I don't know what it is, but there's something there where in silence is where you find the most impact in your life. And so one of the things, just to kind of close this out, is that one of the things I do is airplane mode. I'm constantly in airplane mode. People talk to me, say all the time, dude, your phone was off. And my wife hates it because she's like, what if I had an emergency? But it's like, for me, I put things on airplane mode mainly because like I don't want the EMF like just on my phone, like in my pocket. But also it's like when I'm doing something, when I'm hanging out with you, or when I'm hanging out with friends, or when I'm doing something, when I'm with the client, or when I'm with my kid, I want to be truly present and available doing the thing that I'm doing right there, rather than having half my attention here and half my attention in real life.
No, those are great strategies. I mean, you talked about, apps that can track and restrict your use, giving away your passwords, kind of using the lock, taking the key away from yourself, right? You've talked about airplane mode, or I use do not disturb mode sometimes, just so that you can get those calls from, your mom, or, as our parents are getting older, I worry about my mom all the time. But for the people, just to, because we are talking about, finding balance, right? And how to have these tools in your tool belt so that you can use this for good and not for evil. Maybe I want to ask you about, imagine yourself back then when you had the multiple screens going, you couldn't concentrate, right? And to obviously fast forward now, you are able to build those systems and practices around you to combat that, to fight that. What kind of advice would you have for people who are just stuck? Like, I cannot get off my phone. I'm depressed. I wake up with my phone. I go to sleep with my phone. Every chance I get, I'm doing this, and my life sucks. What would you say to those people as words of advice?
How do you break a bad habit? That's another podcast that we could do. And I'm reading a book about in Atomic Habits about how to break bad habits. One of the things that really pointed out to me that was really powerful is you have to shock your system. You have to change your environment because right now the habits, like, there's cues around your house where you live. There's cues that make you open up your phone.
Right.
And then from the phone, it goes into, like, there's cues that make you pull up Instagram.
Right.
There's cues that go from Instagram to hitting that sponsor button, opening up that page and paying for that thing, right? So there's a bunch of these cues. So you really have to shock your system. Are you going to make a decision now, or are you going to listen to this right now, and then tomorrow, there's going to be no change, no difference. So what I would do is I would right now go into your phone. If you have an iPhone, I can't speak on Android users, but if you have an iPhone, go into your system and just hit the screen time button. Give the code to somebody else and give yourself a limit. Make it 3 hours, for goodness sake. Like, if you're baby step it. If you're on social media for 5 hours a day, I know I'm kind of going extreme, but just make it 3 hours.
Sure.
Limit it, and and give the password to someone else. Do that right now, right? Change your environment, right? Whatever it is, like, move things around. Go move apartments. Seriously, like, you need to make it that shocking to your system, so all these cues don't make you back into the same habit. And then I don't believe in just like white knuckling, like trying to stop something. You have to fill it with something else. So go find a hobby, right? Go play tennis, or go work out. Do something that's really fun. Soccer, ping pong. It doesn't, whatever it is. I would say video games, but it's like, I know that's just one poison to another. But do something else to fill that time that will help you kind of change your dynamic, because you can't just have this empty void. You got to fill it with something, or else it's just going to refill with that negative habit again, which thus, unfortunately, the way the neural pathways work is you're just going to keep reinforcing that bad habit. And so I would definitely shock your system right now, create preventative measures, and then I'll also put in some new habits, some new fun, good, healthy habits inside there.
Yeah, it's a great message. I know people are struggling, as we both have, and sometimes still do, to be honest. And the environment is such a powerful trigger. I love Atomic Habits. I've learned a lot from that book as well. And maybe we can cover some of those things next time.
That sounds good. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. We really would ask you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. We're starting small, but it really does help the algorithm, as we're talking about algorithm. If you do some of those things, and mind you, we're trying to put good content out there. We're trying to be a good influences out there. And so if you want to hear more of like the good influence kind of content, even though we might not be as engaging as Logan Paul or some of these Twitch streamers and whatnot, they do all these crazy things. We want to put good content out there that could really help you guys. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.